प्राणशीलभागवत ललित्वान्तोदितादित्य श्रीकृष्ण परिवर्तित परमानंद पाठाय प्रेमवशक्षराय ते सर्वदा सर्वसेव्या श्रीकृष्णाय नमस्तुभ्यं मदेक बंधु मत्संगी मद्गुरु मन्साधना मन्निस्तारक मद्भाग्य मदानंद नमस्तुते असाधु संगीन अतिनीचोच्चताकर आनंद जगदाचिन मां प्रेमना हरिकंठयोस्पुरा. Okay, is this screen share going on? Why I can't see it? Okay, I can see it now. It is happening. It is happening. Okay, fine. Chapter 19, the killing of the demon Hiranyaksha. 1. Maitreya Vacha. Avadharya virinchasya nirvyalikamritam vachaha. Prahasya prema garbhena tad apangena sograhit. Sri Maitreya said, after hearing the words of Brahma, the Creator, which were free from all sinful purposes, and as sweet as nectar, the Lord heartily laughed and accepted his prayer with a glance laden with love. Sarasa Darshini. Yuddhe tasya samarthasya mayashrishthavato harihi swastrena hritva tam mahan una vimshesu panena. So in this 19th chapter, Lord Sri Hari, in the form of the Varaha avatar, he at that time he removed all those illusions through his own weapon and he killed him with his hand. Panina. Nirvyalikam nishkapatam asmad radhavarosara iti amritam. न यावदेश वर्धेत इत्यादि प्रेममयत्वा अमृततुल्यं वचः. So the idea is that this asura, this asura has taken a boon or a benediction from me. So this indicates that he was duplicitous in his prayer. Lord Brahma was not duplicitous in his prayer. And he also said, Amrita. It was what he spoke was nectarian because na yavadesha vardheta. Please let him not grow in his strength. So that was very nectarian for the Lord to hear. So the idea is that this demon is going to increase in strength at this time, at the time when it is favorable for him. So since this statement was made out of love for the Lord, it is as good as nectar. Amritatulyam vachaha. Tad bhagavata api adarena aswaditam. So the Lord also very carefully relished that statement. Tadityaha prahasya. That is noted in the second half of this verse. Aho mat premnaha sarva vismarakata samathyam mat kalatmanaha api muhurta valam upadishati iti prema garbhena eva apangena svichakara. The Lord was thinking that look at my love, and the love for me that he has. This love, this is capable of making everyone forget everything. I am myself the soul of time. Time itself is my form. And then here we have Brahma, who's instructing me about the time according to the Muhurta, the time produced by the Muhurta. So, in this way, the Lord, filled with love for Brahma, he glanced at him and in that way accepted Satyam. Twam yatha dishyasi tatha eva kurvan imam adhuna eva hanmi. I will do as you say. Right now, I will kill him. Kintu mama asya cha yuyutsa sukham puryatam. But let the happiness for warfare that is in me and in him be complete. Ataha adya ratrau avainam. What is this avainam? Ratrau ratrau evainam. Ratrau evainam. It's not avainam. Ratrau evainam. Anishyami iti gyapayamasa iti artha. So he was thinking that all right, so I will kill him tonight itself. The word nirvyalika is very significant. The prayers of the demigods or devotees of the Lord are free from all sinful purposes, but the prayers of the demons are always filled with sinful purposes. The demon Hiranyaksha became powerful by deriving a boon from Brahma, and after attaining that boon, he created a disturbance because of his sinful intentions. The prayers of Brahma and other demigods are not to be compared to the prayers of the demons. Their purpose is to please the Supreme Lord. Therefore, the Lord smiled and accepted the prayer to kill the demon. Demons who are never interested in praising the Supreme Personality of Godhead because they have no information of Him go to the demigods. And in Bhagavad Gita, this is condemned. Persons who go to the demigods and pray for advancement in sinful activities are considered to be bereft of all intelligence. Demons have lost all intelligence because they do not know what is actually their self-interest. Even if they have information of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they decline to approach Him. It is not possible for them to get their desired boons from the Supreme Lord because their purposes are always sinful. It is said that the dacoits in Bengal used to worship the goddess Kali for fulfillment of their sinful desires to plunder others' property. But they never went to a Vishnu temple because they might have been unsuccessful in praying to Vishnu. Therefore, the prayers of the demigods or the devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are always untinged by sinful purposes. 2. Tatasapatnam mukhatascharan tamakuto bhayam jaghanotpatya gadaya hanau asuram akshajaha tataha sapatna mukhataha charantam akutaha bhayam jaghana utpatya gadaya hanau asuram akshajaha. The Lord who had appeared from the nostril of Brahma sprang and aimed his mace at the chin of his enemy, the Hiranyaksha demon, who was stalking fearlessly before him. Mukhataha, Sammukha in front of him. Hanau, Kapolasya Adhobhage. He hit him below the forehead. Akshajaha, Brahmanaha, Granendriyada Viruputaha. Akshaja means the Lord who was born from the nostril of Brahma. 3. सा हता तेन गदया विहता भगवत्करात् विघूर्णिता पतद् रेजे तद्दद्भुतं निपाभवत्. सा हता तेन गदया विहता भगवत्करात् विघूर्णिता अपतत् रेजे तद्दद्भुतं इव अभवत्. Struck by the demon's mace, however, the Lord's mace slipped from his hand and looked splendid as it fell down whirling. This was miraculous, for the mace was blazing wonderfully. Sa Arehin Gada, Tena Asurena Vihata, Vichyuta Sati. So when the Lord's Gada, mace, was struck by the Asura and it slipped off, Vipurnita Bhudvapata, then it twirled and it fell. Virajecha. At the same time, it was shining. Tat Bhagavad Karat. What is Bhagavad Karat? Bhagavad Karat. Sahata, Sahata. Bhagavad Karat, no Bhagavad Karat. So that falling down of that maze, that was as if miraculous. Oh, तदा लब्धतीर्थोऽपि न बबाधे निरायुधं मानयन् समृद्धे धर्मं विश्वक्सेनं प्रकोपयन् सः foe without obstruction. He respected the law of single combat, thereby kindling the fury of the Supreme Lord. Labdhatirtha. It is not Labdhasaraha, it is Labdha Avasara. Api, na babade, na praharat. So even though he had got an opportunity to strike the Lord, he did not present an obstruction to the Lord, he did not strike him. Tatra hetu. The reason for that is stated in the third line. Manayan iti. Tena cha prakopayan iti. And while respecting the law of single combat, he had angered the Lord. Kimare mamapi tvad bahu baladeva patita gadam vyakulam janasi. So, what do you think? You think that I am in a helpless condition because my mace had fallen down by the strength of your arm? Yet swadharmikatvam prathayan na praharasi. So you consider yourself to be following your swadharma and you're broadcasting your nature of following swadharma, and you don't attack me. Pashya re pashya. Look at me. Look at me. All this re, array is coming from Sanskrit originally. Kshanamatrena eva tat pranan eva apaharami. Within a moment eva, within a single moment, I'm going to take away your life heirs. Iti Bhagavan's chukopa. In this manner, the Supreme Personality of Godhead became furious. 5. Gadayam apavidhayam ahakare vinirgate manayamasa tadharmam sunabham chasmarat vipuhu. As the Lord's mace fell to the ground and a cry of alarm arose from the witnessing crowd of gods and rishis, the Personality of Godhead acknowledged the demon's love of righteousness and therefore invoked his Sudarshana discuss. Apavidhayam fell, patitaya, nacha etat shalvayuddhe sharngadhanu patanamiva paramatam ashankaniya. Now, this should not be considered to be similar to how at the time of fighting with Shalva, he has a bow known as Sharanga. So this should not be considered to be like the falling of that Sharanga bow. In other words, in the 10th canto, there is a description of how the bow fell down, but that is simply a description of others' ideas. When we come to that, he will explain what that means. हिरण्याक्षस्य पार्षदत्वा पार्षदस्य च भगवत् तुल्यबलत्वा तुल्यबलत्वे च गदा पतनस्य असंभवत्व अभावा. The reason for that is Hiranyaksha is an associate of the Lord originally. And an associate of the Lord has a strength that is equal to the strength of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when the strength is equal, it is not impossible for the mace of the Supreme Lord to fall down. Tulyabalatvam vina cha yuddha sukasya anutpatehe. And the happiness of warfare does not come about without there being equality in the force, in the strength between the opponents. Gadapatanamidam bhagavad utsahavardhakatva bhushanameva. This fall of the mace, because it increased the enthusiasm of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is an ornamentation for the Supreme Lord, not a dushana. It is not a defect of the Lord. Bhaktasthane bhagavata prema ambuddhina स्वपराभवस्य शतशः अंगीकृतत्वा इति एतदर्थ व्यंजकम उत्तम the whole thing has to be proofread स्वपराभवस्य शतशः अंगीकृतत्वा इति एतद् अर्थ व्यंजकम उत्तर श्लोके इत्येतदर्थ व्यंजकम उत्तर श्लोके स्वपार्षदमुखेन इति पदम् अनुसन्धेयम्. The Supreme Lord is an ocean, has an ocean of love for his devotee. So for him to be defeated by his devotee has been accepted by him 100 times. So in order to reveal this particular fact in a later verse, yes, in the very next verse right here, so Parvita Mukhena. Why is it Mukhena? So Parvita Mukhena is also wrong. Mukhena. Iti padam anusandheya. So this in the next verse we will come across this. In the next verse we'll come across this word. So Parshada Mukhyena, which indicates that Hiranyaksha was originally one of the Cha indicates that in addition to the Sudarshan Chakra, he also remembered his mace. 6. Tam Vyagra Chakram Ditiputradhamena Swaparshadamukyena Vishajyamanam Chitravacho Tad Vidam Khecharanam Tatrasma San Swastite Moon Jahiti Tam Vyagra Chakram Ditiputra Adhamena Swaparshadamukyena Vishajyamanam Chitrahavachaha Atatvidam Khecharanam Tatra Sma Asan Swasti Te Amum Jahi Iti. As the discus began to revolve in the Lord's hands, and the Lord contended at close quarters with the chief of his Vaikuntha attendants, who had been born as Hiranyaksha, a vile son of Diti, an evil son of Diti. There issued from every direction strange expressions uttered by those who were witnessing from airplanes. They had no knowledge of the Lord's reality, and they cried, "May victory attend you! Pray, dispatch him! Play no more with him!" Vyagram Sambhramayuktam. Hanta Hanta Bhagavan Mam Smarati Sma Iti Swayam Eva Agatya Haste Lagnam Chakram Yasyatam. Sambhramayuktam indicates that, where is that? Sorry, Vyagra Chakram. Vyagra Chakram indicates that the Lord's chakra was hurrying up. Sambhram means also to hurry up. So he was hurrying up. And he was thinking, Sudarshan Chakra was पुत्र अभिधेन दितिपुत्र अधमेन इति पाठत्रयम्. Why says पाठत्रयम्? Paఠatrayam. There are three readings here. Here we have Ditiputra Adhamena. But there's another reading, Ditiputra Abhidena, known as the son of Diti. And he says there are three readings. What is the third reading? Is there some other reading for this? Yeah, I should check it later on. Vishajyavana Vikshya iti Shesha. So when these Khecharas, the Celestials were flying in the sky, when they saw that the Lord was playing with the Hiranyaksha in this manner, then they uttered all these words. 7. Satam nishamyata rathangamagrato vyavasthitam padma palashalocham vilokya cha amarsha pariplutendriyo rusha swadanta chadam ma dashakshwasan saha tam nishamya attarathangam agratah vyavasthitam padma palashalochanam vilokya cha amarsha paripluta indriya rusha swadanta chadam आदश श्वसन आदश ओके आदश सम्यक दृष्टा okay. When the demon saw the personality of Godhead who had eyes just like lotus petals standing in position before him, armed with his Sudarshana discus, his senses were overpowered by indignation. He began to hiss like a serpent and he bit his lip in great resentment. प्रथमम् आत्तरथांगं निशाम्य दृष्ट्वा पुनः अग्रतः व्यवस्थितं च विलोक्य तत्तच्छदम् अधरम्. So first he saw the Supreme Lord armed with his Sudarshan Chakra. And then again he saw that the Lord was now standing before him. So then he became so angry that he bit his lip. 8. Karaladam chakshurbhyam sanchakshano dahaniva abhiplutya swagadaya hatosi tyahanadhari. The demon who had fearful tusks stared at the personality of Godhead as though to burn him. Springing into the air, he aimed his mace at the Lord, exclaiming at the same time, "You are slain!" Karaladam shraha chakshurbhyam sanchakshanaha dahaniva abhiplutya swagadaya ataha asi iti ahanat hare. Sanchakshana Akshyam ataha asi pakshe yataha asi. So he was staring at the Supreme Lord. And when he says, "You're dead, you're killed," the word hataha can also be interpreted here to mean, I know you. I know who you are in reality. 9. Padasavyenatam tam sadho bhagavan yagyasu karaha vilaya mishata chatro praharat vata ramhasam. Pada savyena tam sadho bhagavan yagyasu karaha Leelaya Mishataha Shatro Praharat Vataramhas. So saintly Vidura, while his enemy looked on, the Lord in his boar form, the enjoyer of all sacrificial offerings, playfully knocked down the mace with his left foot, even as it came upon him with the force of a tempest. Vataramhasam, Vayuvegam, having the force जिगीषसि इति उक्तः सः तदा भूयः ताडयन् व्यनदद् भृशम्. The Lord then said, take up your weapon and try again, eager as you are to conquer me. Challenged in these words, the demon aimed his mace at the Lord and once more loudly roared. So the Lord is saying the same thing that the demon had told him. You don't have a weapon, take it up. And you want to conquer me? Come back. 11. तां स आपततीं वीक्ष्य भगवान् समवस्थितः जग्राहलीलया प्राप्तां गरुत्मानिव पन्नगीम्. So he aimed at his mace, means he threw. तां सः आपततीं वीक्ष्य भगवान् समवस्थितः जग्राहलीलया प्राप्तां गरुत्मानिव पन्नगीम्. When the Lord saw the mace flying toward him, he stood firmly where he was and caught it with the same ease as Garuda, the king of birds, would seize a serpent. Tam Kadam, that mace. 12. So Paurushe Pratihate Hatamano Mahasuraha Naichat Gadam Diyamanam Harina Vigata Prabha. So Paurushe Pratihate Hatamanaha Maha Asuraha Na Aichat Gadam Diyamanam Harina Vigata Prabha. His valor thus frustrated, the great demon felt humiliated and was put out of countenance. He was reluctant to take back the mace when it was offered by the personality of God. See, previously, this is how warfare was. Warfare was not to actually kill the opponent, it was to subdue, keep the opponent alive, and in fact, if possible, healthy, and make him submit to you. That is why previously it is noted, these ecologists and all, they note that the ones who study civilizations, that previously throughout the world when there was warfare, before war amongst human beings itself, before wars take place, the first thing they do is they come with a musical troupe. And this is, they've done these studies all over, wherever there are wars. And they would, I'm not saying in all places, but in many places, they would play drums loudly and blow some trumpets and this and that, just to create fear in the opponent with the idea that submit, just submit. So that idea was always there. Then at a certain point, violent warfare came up. Senselessly, it is some kind of terrorist warfare. Simply killing, that's meaningless nonsense. But previously, it was not like that. They also note that even amongst certain animals, even when one animal wants to attack another animal, the first thing it does is it comes, it dances, it does different things just to create fear. See, I am happy, I'm not frightened of you. So it's found even in the lower animals, what to speak of human beings. 13. Jagraha Trishikam Shulam Jwalanalolupam Yangyaya Dhrita Rupaya Viprayabhicharan Yatha. Jagraha Trishikam Shulam Jwalanalolupam Yangyaya Dhrita Rupaya Vipraya Abhicharan Yatha. He now took a trident which was as rapacious, very fierce, as a flaming fire, and hurled it against the Lord, the enjoyer of all sacrifices, even as one would use penance for a malevolent purpose against a holy Brahman. Jwalayuktam, Jwalanaha, a flaming fire. Vakhni, Tadvat Lolupam, Grasanam Vyagram. Rapacious means very eager to swallow. It says fire is very eager to burn. Yagyaya, Murtimantam Yagyameva Hantum. Just as, I mean, he wanted to kill the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who would assume the form of Varaha. but who was actually the enjoyer of all sacrifices. He's the very personification of fire sacrifice. अत्यंत अनौचित्ये दृष्टान्तः. This is, and he gives an example that this was most inappropriate. Vipraya hantu. Just as one would use a penance to kill a Vipra. Vipras are non-violent. Veda Pathat Bhavet Vipraha. You simply study the Vedas. 14. Tadojasa Daitya Mahabhatarpitam Chakasadantakha Udirna Didhiti Chakrena Chichedan Nishatanemina Harir Yatha Tarksha Patatramujhitam Tat Ojasa Daityam Mahabhata Arpitam Chakasat Antakhe Udirna Didhiti Chakrena Chicheda Nishatanemina Harihi Yatha Tarkshya Patatram Udshitam. Hurled by the mighty demon with all his strength, the flying trident shone brightly in the sky. With increased illumination. The personality of Godhead, however, tore it to pieces with his discus Sudarshana, which had a sharp-edged rim, even as Indra cut off a wing of Garuda. Chakasa, Deepyavana, Antar, Yasya, Patha, Khe, Akashe, Udirna, Ulkata, Bahirapi, Dipita, Yaha, Tasyata. So that trident which he heard, that was shining in the middle of the sky. And then that made everything very much illuminating. Yadva. Chakasantya antakhe akashamanthe udirnadite yasyutta. Okay, so it implies that it made the atmosphere also catch in fire. Nishata nemina tikshna dharena harihi Indraha yatha tarkshiyasya garudasya patatram pakshamunchitam tyaktam chicheda. But the Lord cut it to pieces, just as Indra cut off a wing of Garuda that had fallen off. Devan jitva amrita kalasham nayata garudena Indra prayukta vajrasya amoga rakshana artham pitchamekam tyaktam. When Garuda had conquered the Devas and he was carrying the pot of Amrita, nectar. So this is all very, it's a very famous narration in the Adipadva of Mahabharata. So at that time, Indra had hurled his Vajra weapon. And then Vajra is said to be Amogha, unfailing in its effect. So Garuda, in order to preserve the honor of Vajra, Pichamayakam, he, first of all, what he did was he took a feather from his wing and he just dropped it down. Tad yatha indra chicheda, chinnam yatha ke prakashate, tadvat prakashamanam ityapi sambandha. So then Indra's Vajra cut that feather into pieces, like that, here also. The context of the reference given here in regarding Garuda and Indra is this. Once upon a time, Garuda, the carrier of the Lord, snatched away a nectar pot from the hands of the demigods in heaven in order to liberate his mother Vinata from the clutches of his stepmother Kadru, the mother of the serpents. On learning of this, Indra, the king of heaven, hurled his thunderbolt against Garuda with a view to respect the infallibility of Indra's weapon. Garuda though otherwise invincible, being the Lord's own mount, dropped one of his wings, which was shattered to pieces by the thunderbolt. The inhabitants of higher planets are so sensible that even in the process of fighting, they observe the preliminary rules and regulations of gentleness. In this case, Garuda wanted to show respect for Indra. Since he knew that Indra's weapon must destroy something, he offered his wing. He dropped one of his wings means actually he dropped one feather. 15. Vritme svashule bahudharina hare pratyaya vistirnamuro vibhuti mat pravriddha roshas kathora mushtina nadan prakrutyantaradhiyata surah vritme svashule bahudharina hare pratyetya vistirnam urah vibhuti mat pravriddha roshah sah kathora mushtina nadan prahritya antaradhiyata asura. The demon was enraged when his trident was cut to pieces by the discus of the personality of Godhead. He therefore advanced toward the Lord and, roaring aloud, struck his hard fist against the Lord's broad chest, which bore the mark of Srivatsa. Then he went out of sight. Vikne, Chinne, when his trident was cut. Uraha Prahritya. Then he struck the Lord's broad chest. Sakshad Yuddhesva Samarthya Abhavam Avadharya. Having understood that he does not have the direct capacity to actually to fight with the Lord in his presence, Maya Surakshyan Antardhato. Then he created an illusion by disappearing. Srivatsa is a curl of white hair on the chest of the Lord, which is a special sign of his being the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Vaikuntha Loka or in Goloka Vrindavan. The inhabitants are exactly of the same form as the Personality of Godhead, but by this Srivatsa mark on the chest of the Lord, he is distinguished from all others. 16. Tenethamahatah shattar bhagavan adisukaraha nakampata manakvapi srajahata ivad vipaha. Hit in this tena itham ahataha shattaha bhagavan Bhagavan adisukaraha na akampata manak Koapi, Srajahataha even Pipaha, hit in this manner by that demon, or with the Lord who had appeared as the firstborn, did not feel the least quaking in any part of his body. The Lord did not shake even once. Any more than an elephant would when struck with a wreath, a garland of flowers. Sraja. Manag Ishadapi, Kwapyam se, did not feel the least quaking in any part of his body. As previously explained, the demon was originally a servitor of the Lord in Vaikuntha. But somehow or other he fell as a demon. His fight with the Supreme Lord was meant for his liberation. The Lord enjoyed the striking on his child, a transcendental body, just like a fully grown up father fighting with his child. Sometimes a father takes pleasure in having a mock fight with a small child. And similarly, the Lord felt Hiranyaksha striking on his body to be like flowers offered for worship. In other words, the Lord desired to fight in order to enjoy his transcendental bliss. Therefore, he enjoyed the attack. 17. Athorda srijan mayam yogamayeshwareharam yam vilokya prajastrasta meneresyopa samyamam atha urda asrijat mayam yogamaya ishwareharam yam vilokya prajastrasta menere asya upasamyamam. The demon, however, employed many conjuring tricks against the personality of Godhead, who is the Lord of Yogamaya. At the sight of this, the people were filled with alarm and thought that the dissolution of the universe was near. Okay, that's a question.
No. Um, Lord's body is transcendental, so it cannot be affected by any material thing. So when his devotee or the demon is punching him, is he feeling the punches?
Who's feeling the punches? Yes, of course, Krishna feels the punches.
But like he is not affected by the punches because
He's not.
nothing can.
Yes, correct. He's not affected by the punches.
So then how he is feeling pleasure?
It is the gesture. It is the attitude. It is a gesture that makes him happy or unhappy with us. That's all. Okay. 17. Prathamam Atta Rathangam Nishamya. What? No, this is wrong. This was the previous something else. I'll read the actual one if there is a comment. What is this? Okay. Asrujat, Sasarja, Asrujat, Sasarja. He created many conjuring tricks. Asya Vishwasya Upasam Yamam Pralayam. Mm. So the people who were filled with alarm, they thought that of the Supreme Personality of God. Even the wavering of his little finger appears to be a great and very dangerous movement in the eyes of the inhabitants of the universe. 18. Prabhur Vayavas Chandas Tamah Pam Savam Airayan Digbhyo Nipetur Gravana Shepanai Prahita Iva Prabhu Vayavah Chanda Tamah Tamas Pamsavam Airayan Digbhya Nipetu Gravana Shepanai Prahita Iva. These are all instances of the magic. Fierce winds began to blow from all directions, spreading darkness occasioned by dust and hailstorms. Stones came in volleys from every corner, as if thrown by machine guns. Kshepanai Yantrai to various machines. 19. Dyaur Nashtab Bhagana Bhrau Ghai Savidyutstanayit Nubhihi Varshadbhih Puyakesha Srid Vindmutra Sthini Chasakrit. Dyaur नष्टभागन अभ्र ओघै स विद्युत्स्तनयित्नुभिः वर्षद्भिः पूयकेश अस्सृक् विट्मूत्र अस्थीनि च असकृत्. The luminaries in outer space disappeared due to the skies being overcast with masses of clouds, which were accompanied by lightning and thunder. The sky rained pus, hair, blood, stool, urine, and bones. नष्टभागण नष्टभागण इति अनेन युद्धकुतूहलिना भगवता ब्रह्मदत्तं मुहूर्तस्य अतिक्रमः गम्यते. That the luminaries in outer skies in an outer space disappeared indicates that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was so absorbed in this entertaining warfare that the time that the time for auspiciousness for winning over this demon, which was pointed out by Brahma, that had passed away. 20. Giraya pratyadrishyanta narayuthamucho nakha digvasaso yatu dhanya shulinyo muktamurtha jah. Giraya pratyadrishyanta nana ayuthamuchaha anagha digvasasaha yatu dhanyah So they also appeared, all these demonesses with various weapons. No. Various weapons appeared. Various weapons appeared. Mountains appeared. Various weapons appeared. The mountains were discharging these weapons. And the Yatudhanis also appeared. Yatudhanis are demonesses. One type of demonesses. 21. Bahubhir yaksharakshobi patyashvar rathakunjarai atatayibhir utsrishta himsravacho tivaishasa bahubhi yaksharakshobi patti ashva ratha kunjaraihi atatayibhi utsrishta himsraha vachaha ati vaishasah. Cruel and savage slogans were uttered by hosts of ruffian yakshas and rakshasas who all either marched on foot or rode on horses, elephants, or chariots. Ati Vaishasa, Ati Vaishasa, Ati Ugraha, Vachahacha, Utsrishta, Udasrijyanta. So they spoke very terrible words, and that also was presented by this demon through magic. 22. Pradushkritana Mayanam Asurina Vinashayat Sudarshanastram Bhagavan Prayuta Daitam Tripat. The Lord, the personal enjoyer of all sacrifices, now discharged his beloved Sudarshana, which was capable of dispersing the magical forces displayed by the demon. Pradushkritanam Mayanam Asurinam Vinashayat Sudarshanastram Bhagavan Prayuta Dayatam Tripat. Vinashanam, Vinashakam, Vinashayan iti pathe dvitiyarthe shashthyah. Sometimes the reading comes Vinashayan instead of Vinashayat. The meaning is practically the same. Trayaha tapa ade. Okay, Tripat. He is explaining the word Tripat now, the enjoyer of all sacrifices. Trayaha tapa adeha pada yasya sat Tripat dharmamurti. He is the very personification of dharma, which has 3 feet, beginning with tapas, yadva, or else त्रीणि सवनानि पादाः यस्य त्रयः अस्य पादाः इति श्रुतेः यज्ञमूर्तिः इति अर्थः. Otherwise, Tripat means the one who protects the 5 sacrifices, which have 3 savanas, 3 rituals, savana rituals. They are considered to be 3 aspects of a yajna. This is noted in the Shruti. In other words, he is a very personification of the yajna. Even famous yogis and demons can sometimes enact very magical feats by their mystic power. But in the presence of the Sudarshan Chakra, when it is let loose by the Lord, all such magical jugglery is dispersed. The instance of the quarrel between Durvasa Muni and Maharaj Ambarish is a practical example in this matter. Durvasa Muni wanted to display many magical wonders. But when the Sudarshan Chakra appeared, Durvasa himself was afraid and fled to various planets for his personal protection. The Lord is described here as Tripat, which means that he is the enjoyer of 3 kinds of sacrifices. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord confirms that he is the beneficiary and enjoyer of all sacrifices, penances, and austerities. The Lord is the enjoyer of 3 kinds of yajna. As further described in Bhagavad Gita, there are sacrifices of goods, sacrifices of meditation, and sacrifices of philosophical speculation. Those on the parts of jnana, yoga, and karma all have to come in the end to the Supreme Lord because Vasudevas Sarvamiti. The Supreme Lord is the ultimate enjoyer of everything. That is the perfection of all sacrifice. 23. तदा दितेः समभवत् सहसा हृदि वेपथुः स्मरन्त्या भर्तुरादेशं स्तनाचासृक्प्रसुश्रुवे तदा दितेः समभवत् सहसा हृदि वेपथुः स्मरन्त्याः भर्तुः आदेशं स्तनात् च असृक् प्रसुश्रुवे. At that very moment, a shudder suddenly ran through the heart of Diti, the mother of Hiranyaksha. She recalled the words of her husband Kashyapa, and blood flowed from her breasts. Bhartuhu adesham tvatputro bhagavan anishyati ityevam bhutam. So she remembered the statement of her husband Kashyapa. The Supreme Personality of Godhead will kill both of your sons. At Hiranyaksha's last moment, his mother Diti remembered what her husband had said. Although her sons would be demons, they would have the advantage of being killed by the personality of Godhead himself. She remembered this incident by the grace of the Lord, and her breast flowed blood instead of milk. In many instances, we find that when a mother is moved by affection for her sons, milk flows from her breast. But in the case of the demon's mother, blood could not transform into milk, but it flowed down her breast as it was. Blood transforms into milk. To drink milk is auspicious, but to drink blood is inauspicious, although they are one and the same thing. This formula is applicable in the case of cow's milk, also extreme inauspiciousness. In the sense that it indicates some great distress is going to come about. 24. Vinashtasu swamayasu bhuyascha vrajya keshavam rushopaguhamano dadrishe vasthitam mahi. Vinashtasu swamayasu bhuyahacha avrajya keshavam rusha upaguhamana dadrishe avasthitam mahi. When the demon saw his magic forces dispelled, he once again came into the presence of the personality of God at Keshava, and full of rage, I can also do. One minute. My bad luck. बाहो अंतर्निधाय मर्दयिष्यन् प्रगुहमानः अपि. The demon wanted to embrace the Lord. He was embracing the Lord with the desire to kill him. Tam swasmat bahir avasthitam tadarshatan. Suddenly he noticed that the Lord was standing outside of his embrace. In these words, the Lord is addressed as Keshava. It's referred to as Keshava because he killed the demon Keshi in the beginning of creation. Keshava is also a name of Krishna. Krishna is the origin of all incarnations, and it is confirmed in Brahma Samhita that Govinda, the Supreme Personality of God, is the cause of all causes, exists simultaneously in his different incarnations and expansions. The demon's attempt to measure the Supreme Personality of Godhead is significant. He wanted to capture him. He wanted to control him. You cannot measure without controlling what you want to measure. The demon wanted to embrace him with his arms, thinking that with his limited arms he could capture the absolute by material power. He did not know that God is the greatest of the great, the smallest of the small. No one can capture the Supreme Lord or bring him under his control. But the demoniac person always attempts to measure the length and breadth of the Supreme Lord by his inconceivable potency. The Lord can become the universal form as explained in Bhagavad Gita, and at the same time he can remain within the box of his devotees as their worshipable deity. There are many devotees who keep a statue of the Lord in a small box and carry it with them everywhere. Every morning they worship the Lord in the box. The Supreme Lord Keshava, or the personality of God and Krishna, is not bound by any measurement of our calculation. He can remain within with his devotee in any suitable form, yet is unapproachable by any amount of demoniac activity. Which means Vinishtasu Satishu. When all of his magical creations were dissipated, same meaning. 24. Tam mushtibhir vinnignam tam vajrasarai karena karnam mulehan yatha twashtram marutpatihi. Tam mushtibhihi vinnignantam vajrasaraihi adhokshajaha karena karnamule aham yatha twashtram marutpatihi. The demon now began to strike the Lord with his hard fists. Hard fists. They were as hard as thunderbolt. But Lord Adhokshaja slapped him in the root of the ear. Even as Indra, the Lord of the Maruts, hit the demon Vritra. Tatashatam Asuram Twashtram Vritram Marutpatir Indra. That's all covered here. The Lord is explained here to be Adhokshaja, beyond the reach of all material calculation. Kshaja means the measurement of our senses, and Adhokshaja means that which is beyond the measurement of our senses. Vishirna bahvam shiro ruhopatad yatha nagendro lulito napaswata saha ahataha vishwajita hi avajyaya parikramat gatraha udastalochanaha vishirna bahvam shiro ruhaha apatat yatha naga indraha lulitaha nabhaswata. Though struck indifferently by the Lord, the conqueror of all, the demon's body began to wheel. His eyeballs bulged out of their sockets. By a storm. It does not take even a moment for the Lord to kill any powerful demon, including Hiranyaksha. The Lord could have killed him long before, but he allowed the demon to display the full extent of his magical feats. One may know that by magical feats, by scientific advancement of knowledge, or by material power, one cannot become the equal of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His one signal is sufficient to destroy all our attempts. His inconceivable power, as displayed here, is so strong that the demon, despite all his demoniac maneuvers, was killed by the Lord when the Lord desired, simply by one slap. 27. Kshitauchayanam tamakunthavarchasam karaladamstram paridashtadachadam ajadayo vikshesha shamsuragata aho imam gonu labheta samsthitim Kshitauchayanam tam akunthavarchasam karaladamstram paridashtadachadam ajadayo vikshya शशंसुः आगताः अहो इमं कः नु लभेत samsthitim. Aja, Brahma, and others arrived on the spot to see the fearfully tusked demon lying on the ground, biting his lip. Karala Darshtam, with fearful teeth. The demon had fearful teeth. The glow of his face was yet unfaded. Akuntha Rakshasam. And Brahma admiringly said, "Oh, who could meet such blessed death?" Samstitim Mrityum. Samstitim means death. Who could meet such blessed death? Although the demon was dead, his bodily luster was unfaded. This is very peculiar because when a man or animal is dead, the body immediately becomes pale, the luster gradually fades, and decomposition takes place. But here, although Hiranyaksha lay dead, his bodily luster was unfaded because the Lord, the Supreme Spirit, was touching his body. One's bodily luster remains fresh only as long as the spirit soul is present. Although the demon soul had departed his body, the Supreme Spirit touched the body, and therefore his bodily luster did not fade. The individual soul is different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead when he quits his body is certainly very fortunate, and therefore personalities like Brahma and the other demigods eulogized, praised the demon of the death of the demon. Ajare, okay. So 28. Yam yogino yoga samadhino raho dhyayanti linga rasato mokshaya tasya isha daitya rishabha pradahato mukham prapasyam tanu sarjaha yam yoginah yoga samadhina raha dhyayanti lingat asataha mumukshaya tasya eshaha daitya rishabha pada ahataha mukham prapashyan tanum utsasarjaha brahma. In mystic trance, while gazing on his countenance, this crest jewel of Diti's sons has cast off his mortal coil. Padahataha iti. He was struck by a foot of Lord Varaha. Padahataha iti Varahasya purva padayopa eva karatva karena han iti anena avirodha. The 4 feet of the Varaha form are actually the hands of that Varaha form. So this does not contradict the other description that he had killed him with his hand. The process of yoga is very clearly described in this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. It is said here that the ultimate end of the yogis and mystics who perform meditation is to get rid of this material body. Therefore, they meditate in secluded places to attain yogic trance. Yoga has to be performed in a secluded place, not in public or in a demonstration on stage, as nowadays practiced by many so-called yogis. Real yoga aims at ridding one of the material body. Yoga practice is not intended to keep the body fit and young. Such advertisements of so-called yoga are not approved by any standard method. Particularly mentioned in this verse is the word yam, or unto whom, indicating that meditation should be targeted on the personality of God. Even if one concentrates his mind on the both form of the Lord, that is also yoga. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, one who concentrates his mind constantly in meditation upon the personality of God in one of his many varieties of forms is a first class yogi, and he can very easily attain trance simply by meditating upon the form of the Lord. If one is able to continue such meditation on the Lord's form at the time of one's death, one is liberated from this mortal body, is transferred to the kingdom of God. This opportunity was given to the demon by the Lord, and therefore Brahma and other demigods were astonished. Because usually you don't give this opportunity to the demoniac, you give it to the divine. In other words, the perfection of yoga practice can be attained by a demon also if he is simply kicked by the Lord. 29. Etau tau parshadavasya shapadyata vasadgati punah katipayasthanam prapatyete hajanmabhi. Etau, तौ पार्षदौ अस्य शापात् यातौ असद्गतिं पुनः कतिपयैः स्थानं प्रपत्स्येतेह जन्मभिः. These two personal assistants of the Supreme Lord, having been cursed, have been destined to take birth in demoniac families. After a few such births, they will return to their own positions. Muninam Shapa is being cursed. It's cursed by certain sages. Spashtam. Indeed. Clearly, they'll get back their position after a few months. 30. So, all of that was stated by Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma is the guru of the demigods. So, when Lord Brahma he took this opportunity to describe the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his disciples, the Devas, they also came forward to narrate the glories of the Supreme Lord. So they also glorified him. 30. Deva Uchu, Namo Namaste Khila Yajna Tantave, Stitau Grihita Mala Sattva Murtaye, Dishtyahato Yam Jagatam Arun Tudas, Tatpada Bhaktya Vayam Ishan Rudritah, Deva Uchu, Namaste अखिल यज्ञ तंतवे स्थितौ गृहीत अमल सत्व मूर्तये दृष्ट्या हतः अयं जगताम् अरुतुदः त्वत्पाद भक्त्या वयम् ईश निर्वृताः. The demigods addressed the Lord. All obeisance unto you. You are the enjoyer of all sacrifices. And you have assumed the form of a boar in pure goodness for the purpose of maintaining the world. Fortunately for us, this demon who was a torment to the world has been slain by you, and we too, O Lord, are now at ease in devotion to your lotus feet. Tantave, Akhila Yajna Tantave, Tantave, Vistarakaya, Karanaya Itiva. It has two meanings. One meaning is it can mean that the one who disseminates these sacrifices, the one who spreads, who propagates all these sacrifices. Another meaning is the one who is the cause for all these sacrifices. So Lord Varaha has been described in both ways. Arun Tudaha, Marma Bhedi. He was this demon. He had pierced the hearts of everyone in the world. The material world consists of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. But the spiritual world is pure goodness. It is said here that the form of the Lord is pure goodness, which means that it is not material. In the material world, there is no pure goodness. In the Bhagavatam, the stage of pure goodness is called Sattvam Vishuddham. Vishuddham means pure. In pure goodness, there is no contamination by the two inferior qualities, namely passion and ignorance. Therefore, the form of the boar in which the Lord appeared is not the material world. There are many other forms of the Lord, but none of them belong to the material qualities. Such forms are non different from the Vishnu. Vishnu is the enjoyer of all sacrifices. The sacrifices which are recommended in the Vedas are meant to please the Supreme Personality of God. In ignorance only, people try to satisfy many other agents, but the real purpose of life is to satisfy the Supreme Lord Vishnu. All sacrifices are meant to please the Supreme Lord. The living entities who know this perfectly well are called demigods, godly, or almost God. Demigods. Since the living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, it is his duty to serve the Lord and please him. The demigods are all attached to the personality of Godhead, and for that pleasure, the demon, who was a source of trouble to the world, was killed. Purified life is meant to please the Lord, and all sacrifices performed in purified life are called Krishna consciousness. This Krishna consciousness is developed by devotion service, as clearly mentioned here. 31. Maitreya Vacha. एवं हिरण्याक्षम असख्य विक्रम साधयित्वा हरिरादिसु करः जगामलोकं स्वम खंडितोत्सवं समीडित पुष्कर विष्टरादिभिः. मैत्रेयः उवाच एवं हिरण्याक्षम् असह्य विक्रम सः साधयित्वा हरिः आदिसूकरः जगामलोकं स्वम् अखण्डित उत्सवं समीडितः पुष्कर विष्टर आदिभिः. Sri Maitreya continued. After this killing, the most formidable demon, Hiranyaksha, the Supreme Lord Hari, the origin of the boar species, returned to his own abode. Adisuka, the origin of the boar species, is the origin of the boars. Returned to his own abode where there is always an uninterrupted festival. Swam lokam akhandita utsavam. The Lord was praised by all the demigods headed by Brahma. Pushkar Vishtar, by Lord Brahma, who is seated on the lotus. Pushkaram Padmam Vishtar Asanam Yasya Brahma. Vedanta Sutra 112. The absolute truth is the origin of everything. Therefore, it is to be understood that all 8,400,000 species of bodily forms originate from the Lord, who is always Adi, or the beginning. In Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna addresses the Lord as Adyam, or the original. Similarly, in the Brahma Samhita, the Lord is addressed as Adi Purusham, the original person. Indeed, in Bhagavad Gita 10.8, the Lord Himself declares, Mattah Sarvam Pravartate. From me, everything proceeds. In this situation, the Lord assumed the shape of a boar to kill the demon Hiranyaksha and pick up the earth from the Garbha ocean. Thus, he became Adi Sukara, the original boar. In the material world, a boar or a pig is considered most abominable. But the Adi Sukara, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was not treated as an ordinary boar. Even Lord Brahma and the other demigods praised the Lord's form as a boar. This verse confirms the statement in Bhagavad Gita that the Lord appears as He is, from His transcendental abode, for the sake of killing the miscreants and saving the devotees. Uh, he went back to his own abode. That means he has his own abode. His own abode. By killing the demon, Hiranyaksha, he fulfilled his promise to kill the demons and always protect the demigods headed by Brahma. The statement that the Lord returned to his own abode indicates that he has his own particular transcendental residence. Actually, this comes in the Sandarbhas. Swam Varahameva Jiva Goswami. This is elaborated in the Sandarbhas. Each form of the Supreme Lord in the spiritual world has his own abode. So Lord Varaha went to his own abode, Varaha Loka, in the Vaikuntha universe. Since he is full of all energies, he is all pervasive in spite of his residing in Goloka Vrindavan, just as the sun, although situated in a particular place within the universe, is present by its sunshine throughout the universe. Although the Lord has his particular abode in which to reside, he is all pervasive. Goloka eva nivasatya akilatma bhuta. The impersonalists accept one aspect of the Lord's features, the all-pervasive aspect, but they cannot understand his localized situation in his transcendental abode, where he always engages in fully transcendental pastimes. Especially mentioned in this verse is the word akhandito utsava. Utsava means pleasure. Whenever some function takes place to express happiness, it is called utsava. It's a celebration. Utsava, the expression of complete happiness, is always present in the Vaikuntha Lokas, the abode of the Lord. The Vaikuntha Lokas, in their totality, is the abode of the Lord, who is worshipable even by demigods like Brahma, to say nothing of other less important entities such as human beings. The Lord descends from his abode to this world, and therefore he is called Avatara, which means one who descends. Avatarati. He descends. Iti Avataraha. Therefore he is called the descender, the one who descends, the incarnation. Sometimes avatar is understood to refer to an incarnation or assumes material form of flesh and bone. By English etymology, incarnate. Incarnation refers to one who assumes a material form of flesh, literally. But actually, avatar refers to one who descends from higher regions. But in Sanskrit, avatar, avatar, which is considered to be the prototype, the source of the word incarnation, literally means one who descends. Descend itself means descend from a higher region to a lower region. The Lord's abode is situated far above this material sky and it descends from that higher position. Thus he is called Avatara. 32. Maya yathanuktam avadite hare कृतावतारस्य सुमित्र चेष्टितम यथा हिरण्याक्ष उदार विक्रमो महामृते क्रीडन वन निराकृतः मया यथा अनुक्तम अवादि ते हरेः कृत अवतारस्य सुमित्र चेष्टितम यथा हिरण्याक्षः उदार विक्रमः महामृते क्रीडनवत् निराकृतः. Maitreyi continued, my dear Vidura, I have explained to you the personality of Godhead coming down as the first boar incarnation and killing in a great fight a demon of unprecedented prowess, as if he were just a plaything. This has been narrated by me as I heard it from my predecessor, spiritual master. Yatha anuktam te avadi. Te maya avadi. This has been explained to you the way it has been told to me in parampara. Yatha anuktam guruktim annatikramya. I have told you this without going beyond uh, the description that has been presented by my spiritual master who heard it and so on. Yadva yathoktam Shri Guruna artatah labhyam atha anu anantaram te tubhyam avadi uktam. Otherwise, anu and uktam can be taken as two separate words, in which case yatha uktam indicates that I had, as I understand from my spiritual master, I have explained it to you. Or after understanding this history from my spiritual master, I am explaining it to you. Hey Sumitra, my dear good friend, Cheshtitameva kena prakarena jatam. How did this activity, what kind of activity are we talking about? Tatraha yatha yena prakarena. The kind of activity that the Lord displayed when he killed this demon of unprecedented prowess, as if he were just a plaything. But here the sage Maitreya admits that he explained the incident of the killing of Hiranyaksha by the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a straight narration. He did not manufacture anything or add interpretation, but explained whatever he had heard from his spiritual masters. He accepted as bona fide the system of parampara, or receiving the transcendental message in disciplic succession. Unless received by this bona fide process of hearing from a spiritual master, the statement of an acharya or preceptor cannot be valid. It is also stated here that although the demon Hiranyaksha was unlimited in prowess, he was just like a doll for the Lord. A child breaks so many dolls without a real endeavor. Similarly, although a demon may be very powerful and extraordinary in the eyes of an ordinary man in the material world, to the Lord, killing such a demon is no difficulty. He can kill millions of demons simply as a child plays with dolls and breaks them. 53. Sutovacha. Iti kaushadavakhyatam ashtu Param Lebhe Mahabhagavataha Vijay. Sri Sutta Goswami continues, my dear Brahmana, Shakta or Vidura, the great devotee of the Lord, achieved transcendental bliss by hearing the narration of the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead from the authoritative source of the sage Kausharava Maitreya. He was very pleased. If anyone wants to derive transcendental pleasure by hearing the pastimes of the Lord, he must hear from the authoritative source as explained here. Maitreya heard the narration from his bona fide spiritual master, and Vidura also heard from Maitreya. One becomes an authority simply by presenting whatever he has heard from his spiritual master. And one who does not accept a bona fide spiritual master cannot be an authority. This is clearly explained here. If one wants to have transcendental pleasure, he must find a person with authority. It is also stated in the Bhagavatam. Non-devotee. Non-devotees are considered to be like serpents, as milk is poisoned by a serpent's touch. So although the narration of the pastimes of the Lord is as pure as milk, when administered by serpent-like non-devotees, it becomes poisonous. Not only does it have no effect in transcendental pleasure, but it is dangerous also. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has warned that no description of the pastimes of the Lord should be heard from the Mayavadi or impersonalist school. He has clearly said, Mayavadi Bhashya Shunile Hoy Sarvanash. If anyone hears transcendental pastimes, Sutta Goswami was speaking to the sages headed by Shaunaka, and therefore he addressed them in this verse of Dvija, twice born. The sages assembled in Naimisharanya hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from Sutta Goswami were all Brahmanas. But to acquire the qualifications of a Brahmana is not everything. Merely to be twice born is not perfection. Perfection is attained when one hears the pastimes and activities of the Lord from a bona fide source. 34. Anyesham punyashlokanam uddama yashasam satam upashrutya bhavenmoda Srivatsankasya Kimpuna. What to speak of hearing the pastimes of the Lord, whose chest is marked with Srivatsa. People may take transcendental pleasure even in hearing of the works and deeds of the devotees, whose fame is immortal. Anyesham punyashlokanam uddama yashasam satam upashrutya bhavenmoda Srivatsankasya Kimpuna. So what he's literally saying is, by hearing the activities of the devotees, of others of pious reputation, meaning the devotees, whose fame is spread everywhere, then pleasure may arise. So what to speak of discussing the activities of the Lord who bears the mark of Srivatsa? Punya Shloka Yudhishthira iti prasiddhaha, such as by hearing of the pastimes of Yudhishthira, who has a pious reputation. Bhagavatam literally means the pastimes of the Lord and the Lord's devotees. For example, there are pastimes of Lord Krishna and narrations of devotees like Prahlad, Dhruva, and Maharaj Ambarisha. Both pastimes pertain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead because the devotees' pastimes are in relation with Him. The Mahabharata, for example, the history of the Pandavas and their activities is sacred because the Pandavas had a direct relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, we'll stop with that. Vanshakapatra Vyashikupasindukya Vacha Pratanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Okay.